Every single day, before you even open your mouth, before your feet hit the ground, before you check your phone or scroll through anybody's highlight reel, you've already entered a battle for your mind. And let me tell you, if you don't wake up intentional about guarding your thoughts, the world will hand you something to think. It'll give you insecurity to replay, doubt to chew on, fear to cling to. It'll convince you you're not enough before you've even begun. So you've got to master your mind before the world does. That's not a one-time event. That's not a Sunday-only kind of mindset. That's every day, because every day something will try to climb up into your thoughts and plant itself as truth when it's really just a lie dressed in logic. Every day something will try to tell you you're stuck when the truth is you're just scared. Every day something will whisper you'll never change when in reality you're already transforming. You're just in the messy middle. That's why you've got to wake up and take authority, not over other people, not over your circumstances, over your own mind. You've got to speak to yourself before anything else gets the chance. Tell yourself what's true. Tell yourself what's eternal, because your thoughts shape your faith and your faith shapes your future. Don't wait for peace to arrive on its own. Command it. Don't wait for clarity to fall out the sky. Create it through truth. Meditate on what matters. Not what's trending, not what they said, but what brings life. And listen, this is going to take some work. This isn't easy. You'll be tempted to let your thoughts wander into bitterness, into comparison, into fantasy. You'll be tempted to overanalyze, to replay conversations that already happened, to fear outcomes that haven't even occurred. But just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it belongs. Every thought is not worthy of your attention. Some things need to be dismissed before they even get to finish their sentence in your head. Because if you don't discipline your mind will start to disciple you. It'll train you to live afraid, to think small, to expect loss, to walk in circles around the same lies you should have buried seasons ago. But when you take your mind captive, when you filter your thoughts through truth, when you stop agreeing with every emotion and start aligning with wisdom, you start to see differently. You respond instead of react. You discern instead of assume. You create peace instead of chasing chaos. This is about maturity. This is about being grown enough to say, that thought may feel real, but it's not true. It's about catching yourself in the moment and saying, wait, that's not God, that's not love, that's not truth. Because once you start doing that, the enemy loses his grip, anxiety loses its rhythm, insecurity starts to shrink, and you finally start to live from the inside out, not the outside in. So today and every day after this, choose to master your mind. Guard it like it's a gate, because what walks through it eventually walks out in your life. And you were never meant to be ruled by a thought that doesn't come from truth. Take your thoughts captive before they take you somewhere you were never meant to go. We live in a world that tells you to trust your feelings, follow your heart, do what feels right. But I want you to understand something. Feelings are real, but they're not always true. They're loud, they're persistent, and they can be overwhelming, but that doesn't mean they deserve to drive the car of your life. Your emotions are indicators, not instructors. They can show you where the pain is, where the fear is, where the hope is, but they don't get to tell you where to go or who you are. Sometimes we confuse emotional honesty with emotional leadership. Yes, be honest with what you feel. Don't bury it. Don't fake strength. If you're sad, acknowledge it. If you're angry, confront it. If you're afraid, speak it. But don't stop there. Don't let that feeling take up permanent residence in your soul. Don't let it become your compass. Because you can feel a storm and still choose not to drown in it. You've got to learn how to pause in the middle of your feelings and ask yourself, is this real or is this just what I'm experiencing right now? Because your emotions are tied to your history, your triggers, your hormones, your wounds, your expectations, and all of that can distort what's actually true. So many of us are reacting to something happening inside of us and blaming it on what's outside of us. But growth, real growth, comes when you start responding instead of reacting. When that insecurity rises up telling you you're not good enough, you've got to learn how to talk back. Not with arrogance, but with truth. Say, I hear you, but I don't believe you. When fear starts narrating your future, pause and say, that's not the story I'm choosing. When rejection starts making you shrink, remember who called you, not who walked away. Because feelings will lie. They'll exaggerate. They'll pull you into places God never sent you. But truth will anchor you. Truth will remind you that you're held even when you feel forgotten, that you're loved even when you feel unworthy, that you're purposed even when you feel lost. Some of us have been allowing our feelings to speak louder than God. We've let sadness speak louder than hope, offense louder than grace, bitterness louder than healing. But there's a shift that has to happen in you, a maturity that has to be built where you say, I feel this, but I follow truth. Because when you let truth lead, peace follows, confidence follows, clarity follows, even in the chaos. And here's the beautiful thing. Your emotions don't intimidate God. You don't have to hide them. You bring them to Him. That's where the exchange happens. That's where you trade anxiety for peace, confusion for wisdom, sorrow for joy. That's not pretending. That's positioning. That's how you grow. That's how you heal. Not by ignoring how you feel, but by refusing to be ruled by it. It takes strength to feel deeply and still choose wisely. It takes courage to sit with pain and not let it poison you. It takes maturity to recognize that not everything you feel needs to be acted on. You can feel disappointment without becoming bitter. You can feel loneliness without settling. You can feel anger without exploding. That's power under control. So every day, check in with your heart, but be led by your spirit. Your feelings might visit, but they don't get to stay unless they're serving your purpose. And when you start to live from that place where you feel, but don't fold, you become unshakable. Because now it's not your emotions leading your life, it's your truth. Let's talk about discipline, something that doesn't feel exciting, but it is essential. You cannot build a meaningful life without discipline. I know we like the idea of motivation, and we love to wait on inspiration. We say, I'll do it when I feel ready, or I'll move when it feels right. But let me ask you this, what if that moment never comes? What if the only thing standing between you and what you were created to do is your unwillingness to be consistent when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's invisible? Discipline is not about legalism or striving. It's not about being perfect. It's about being faithful. It's about showing up when your feelings have checked out. It's about doing what you said you'd do, even when nobody is clapping, even when there's no reward in sight, because discipline builds something in you that feelings can't. It builds character, it builds resilience, it builds identity. You see, too many of us want results without routine. We want the reward, but not the rhythm. We want to live in purpose, but we don't want to wake up early, turn off distractions, or keep our word when it's uncomfortable. But purpose has a price, and that price is paid in private, long before it shows up in public. You want to grow spiritually? Don't just wait to feel close to God. Create space. Read when it feels dry. Pray when your heart's heavy. Seek when you feel silent. That's discipline. You want to build healthy relationships? Don't wait until conflict comes. Be intentional, be honest, be committed, even when your emotions say run. That's discipline. You want to fulfill your calling? Then you better build the habits that can carry it, because anointing may open a door, but discipline keeps you in the room. What I've seen over and over is people with talent fall because they didn't have the structure to support it. Gifting is great, but if your habits don't match your purpose, your life will collapse under the weight of what you prayed for. You can't just have a dream, you have to have a system, something that helps you show up, show out, and stay grounded when life tries to throw you off course. Now here's the truth. Discipline doesn't always feel spiritual. Sometimes it feels ordinary. It feels like waking up on time. It feels like putting your phone down. It feels like keeping your mouth shut when you want to clap back. It feels like finishing what you started. That's not glamorous, but it's godly. It's not flashy, but it's fruitful. The problem is we're often looking for big moments to define our lives, but it's the small, consistent choices that shape us most. It's what you do daily that creates who you become permanently. Every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you're training your soul to trust truth over comfort. You're building a foundation that no storm can shake. And don't think discipline is about being hard on yourself. No, discipline is an act of love. It says, I care enough about who I'm becoming that I'm willing to say no to what feels good right now. It's protection, it's preparation, it's power. So if you want to see lasting change in your life, stop chasing moments and start building habits. Choose discipline over drama. Choose consistency over chaos. Choose faithfulness over flashes of motivation. Because discipline doesn't just change your schedule, it transforms your life. Let's talk about patience. Not the kind of patience that waits at a red light or stands in line without complaining, but the kind of patience that endures seasons, the kind that waits when nothing looks like it's working, the kind that holds on to hope when everything around you is telling you to give up. That kind of patience is rare because it demands trust. It demands that you believe something is happening even when you can't see the fruit. It demands that you wait without trying to control the outcome. See, we live in a world that celebrates speed. We want quick turnarounds, fast results, overnight success. But anything that grows deep takes time. Trees that survive storms don't shoot up in a day. They grow slowly, quietly, consistently. And your life is the same. You cannot microwave maturity. You cannot rush through healing. You cannot shortcut becoming. You have to walk it out one step at a time. And that requires patience. I know how hard that is. I know how it feels to believe for something year after year and still see nothing change. I know what it's like to pray, fast, obey, and still feel like God is silent. I know what it's like to see other people receiving what you've been waiting for and wonder, what about me? But that's where the real growth happens, not in the reward, but in the waiting. Because it's in the waiting that your faith gets refined. It's in the waiting that you learn to worship without conditions. It's in the waiting that your motives get exposed. Are you pursuing God for what he gives or for who he is? Are you serving for applause or because it's right? Are you obeying only when it's easy or even when it costs you something? Patience forces those questions to the surface. And that's a good thing. That's how God shapes people who can carry purpose. And don't confuse delay with denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Some of the greatest blessings take the longest time because God is preparing you to hold them well. He's not just building your future, he's building you for that future. If he gave it to you too soon, it might crush you. So he teaches you how to carry weight, how to remain steady, how to wait with joy, not with bitterness. That's the patience that changes lives. And let's be real, there's a difference between waiting and wasting. Patience doesn't mean passivity. Doesn't mean you sit on your hands and do nothing. No, patience is active. It's working while you wait. It's serving while you trust. It's being faithful in the small things, even when the big things haven't come yet. You keep sowing seeds, even if the soil looks dry. You keep speaking life, even when the atmosphere feels dead. That's faith in motion. That's patience that moves. When you have that kind of patience, you stop looking for signs to believe. You stop needing everything to make sense before you walk in obedience. You understand that God's timeline is not your timeline, and that's okay. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's because you know what's for you won't miss you. You rest, not because the promise has arrived, but because the one who made it is trustworthy. So if you're in a season where nothing seems to be happening, don't give up. Don't shrink back. Don't start doubting just because it's taken longer than you thought. Keep walking, keep working, keep waiting with a heart full of expectation, because the harvest is coming. It always does.